The 2024 release psychological super horror thriller film Oddity. The film begins with a Darcy that is a gifted individual and she is living in a small sub-town that is dimly lit with curio shop that is filled with the mystical artifacts. Darcy, the individual person who is blind, she cannot see and she uses a stick to walk with the help of that to see the things around and walk safely. And she uses her heightened spiritual senses to interact with the world around her. The curio shop, which she inherited from her deceased mother, is a sanctuary for those seeking contact with the spirit world. It's a kind of portal with that she can talk with the people who are not anymore, that is the dead people, and her connection to that supernatural realm is really strong, and it is a kind of source of personal torment to that. And Darcy is here haunted by fragmented visions of her deceased twin sister, the photo which we can see on the screen later in this part of the movie. That is the Lucy number one who is brutally murdered and still remain unsolved. That what is the aim or motto behind the murder of her, and Tracy's guilt over her inability to protect her sister from the unknown assailant that eats away at her all the time whenever she thinks about that. And Darcy believes that the key to solving the mysteries of lucid death lies in a strange object, and then that strange object is nothing but a mannequin. Mannequin is a kind of doll. I mean, you see it in its shop, in the any kind of clothing shop or clothing merchandise on which the generally the clothes are wear. And her sister had kept in her home, and the mannequin, a lifelike but very unsettling figure, a very kind of tormented figure. It seems to have connection with the occult, with the demon himself, because the structure of that mannequin or the doll really resembles to that. So this movie really sets the tone where we can see there is kind of very dark connection between the devil, that mannequin, and the overall plot of the movie. And Darcy became obsessed with the unraveling the secret of this mystery, that what really lies behind that. Darcy's investigation begins when she meets with her sister's widower, that is Ted, and who has since remarried to Yana. And Ted is initially skeptical of the Darcy's psychic abilities, and but however she agrees to help her in hope of gaining some kind of closure. And this group travels to a remote house in a countryside where the Lucy murder occurred uh, once occurred in the uh, order to find the clues that she could shed light on the crime itself. And as the Darcy begins to connect with the spirits in the house, she experiences a variety of incidents right here. That is a series of disturbing visions, and this vision really reveal the moment from the Lucy's life leading up to her death, and escalating sense of a kind of fear, paranoia, and confusion, and a kind of a feeling that she can sense right now. The haunting moments gradually reveal that Lucy had become involved in a kind of dangerous occult practice, or the practice that is related to Satanism, demonism ritual that ultimately led to her death. And Darcy then becomes increasingly convinced that the very unsettling, the very demon-like mannequin or the doll is at the center of the mystery, and it holds the key to uncovering the truth about it. The mannequin, once just an object of curiosity, soon reveals itself to be much more than it initially appeared. As Darcy and her team dive deeper into this topic and into the house's dark past, they discover that the mannequin is tied to a sinister kind of ritualistic practice that is related to demonisms, and it's linking to Satanism, because they eventually were following Satanism. That is what it just the idea we get right from the here of the plot of that movie. The ritual which Darcy believed was connected to the Lucy's murder, and that involves the transfer of life force from one person to another, a kind of, you see, what we can call that, of that soul of the one, a soul of a person is transferred from one body to the another. That kind of ritual we can see here, right here. The mannequin acts as a vessel for an ancient and a malevolent entity that feeds on the souls of its victim. During one tense scene that we can see, Darcy performs a kind of ritual in the hopes of contacting her sister's spirit, and as the progress begins, the strange things begin to happen. The room grows cold and the lights flicker, signaling the presence of a powerful supernatural aura or the powerful supernatural force that is present in the room. Darcy, despite that her fear, she continues with the ritual, and that's when the mannequin starts to move on its own. Its eyes seem to follow her, and its body shifts ever so slightly behind her that we can see Darcy is shaken by this incident and whatever is happening around her at that point of time. But she remains more or less determined to uncover the truth what has happened with her sister's death. So the presence of the mannequin is the deeply unsettling, and the entity connected to it seems to feed off the fear and the energy of those around it, those people around it. So kind of sucking the energy off of them. And Darcy realizes that she is she is to understand what happened to Lucy. She must confront the mannequin directly. However, each encounter with the object seems to make the supernatural force even more stronger than the before. So kind of getting stronger from one attack and leading to even more disturbing manifestation that we can't even explain now, because they get worse and worse even after having so many attacks. So as the investigation continues, Darcy's connection with the mannequin gets deeper and deeper, and through her psychic abilities, she uncovers more about the ritual that led to Lucy's death, that is, her twin sister's death. And flashback reveal that Lucy has unknowingly become a participant in the ritual after she inherited the mannequin from an unknown source. And Darcy soon discovers that her sister had become increasingly paranoid, feared by the fact that before her death, she was sensing something really dark was lurking around her. That dark aura was present very near to her, and it becomes clear that Lucy's death was not the result of any kind of random act of violence, but a part of very large occult plan that she had become a member of the ritual that was designed to transfer life energy from one person to another, that we have discussed earlier, like just a transfer of soul from one person's body to another person's body. That involved the use of a mannequin as a kind of conductoid, as a kind of medium acting between them. The entity connected to the mannequin needed a human sacrifice to complete the transfer, and that human sacrifice in this case turned out to be Lucy, because she was chosen to be victim of this wholesome act. And Darcy's growing obsession with the mannequin and the ritual begins to affect her relationship with the others. Ted, who initially agreed to help, grows more and more suspicious of the Darcy's intention. He starts questioning her motives and really begins to feel that her psychic abilities might be just contradicting his judgment. And meanwhile, Ted's new wife, become increasingly anxious. They became increasingly secretive. They became feared. They become paranoid by the fact that Darcy was becoming so a kind of a mental illness patient, because she was really quiet all the time and was not having any kind of conversation, harboring her own hidden motives that complicate the investigation even more. As Darcy's understanding of the ritual deepens, the supernatural forces in the house grows stronger, and the hauntings becomes more even frequent, intense, and at more scale. And at one point of time, Darcy experiences a vision in which she sees her sister's final moments. Lucy is tied to a ritualistic altar with the shadowy figure surrounding her, and the mannequin, now fully animated, is positioned at the head of that altar, present right there. And Darcy was watching in horror as the ritual reaches its terrifying end, or the terrifying conclusion, and Lucy's life force is just drained out from there, because it is a part of the ritual, so-called ritual that we have described. And realizing that the ritual has not yet been completed and the spirit of the Lucy is trapped in the process, Darcy feels an overwhelming sense of a kind of urgency. And Darcy knows that if she does not stop the ritual right here, the entity that might be controlling the mannequin will continue to wreak the havoc. Desperate to save her sister's soul, that is the Lucy, Darcy prepares for a final confrontation with the supernatural forces that is the mannequin itself. In the film's climatic sequence, Darcy faces off the mannequin and the dark entity that controls it, but she attempts to break the curse by severing the connection between the mannequin and the ritual. using her psychic ability. As we have discussed before, she was blind and she was having this extra kind of ability that she channels all her energy into that object, hoping so may bring a kind of uh, she may bring a kind of break into this process. So by breaking that, she may try to get her sister's soul back, and hoping to force the malevolent spirit to release its grip on the Lucy's soul. The tension really builds as Darcy struggles to maintain control over the supernatural force. The mannequin begins to move more violently, and it really becomes more distorted, more gruesome, and more kind of a horror element. The entity, furious at being throttled, and retaliates with the power burst of energy that really threatens to consume the Darcy herself. And the atmosphere is thick with fear and dark energy as Darcy fights to save her sister's spirit and put an end to the ritual once and for all and for the final time. As the ritual reaches its top time, Darcy faces a very impossible kind of choice, that is to destroy the mannequin and risk losing her connection to her sister forever, or sacrifice herself to end the curse forever and free her twin sisters, that is the Lucy's soul. So it's a very good idea according to her. In a heart-wrenching decision, Darcy finally chooses to destroy the mannequin itself and severing its link to the dark entity and breaking the ritual itself. The final moments, the climax scenes are really tense, they are really emotional, they are really gripping the story all out with Darcy's psychic energy that was finally breaking the hold of the supernatural forces. And after that, Darcy succeeds in saving her sister's spirit, but the victory comes at a very, very high cost. Darcy is left physically and emotionally drained, and her psychic powers were severely diminished. The house, now rid of the malevolent entity, seems really peaceful as compared to what had happened from these past days related to the mannequin, devil, and Darcy herself. The film ends with an ambiguous shot of the mannequin, now lifeless, as the camera lingers on, suggesting that evil it harbored may not be entirely gone. The final scene leaves the audience questioning whether the forces of darkness have truly been defeated, or if the curse is just simply waiting to resurface and take another chance to do so. I really, really liked the movie. It was really great. The cinematography was really great. The atmosphere surrounding the movie was great. It had no it had no unnecessary kind of jump scare that we see on the movies nowadays. It really, really brings the tenseful, the eerie, suspenseful atmosphere, and I really felt the relatability, the connection with the Darcy's character. And even in the day-to-day life, you see someone who is blind, or you see someone who has got a kind of less sense power in the one part of his body, like he is blind, so he get another kind of power to sense something above the par or the above the limit of the other sense organ. Like if he has a defect in his eye, then he can maybe hear more, or he can maybe sense more, something like that. And I really like the concept of that mannequin too. At first time it just freaked me out because the look of that was very similar to kind of a devil, and the red color, it really was very good makeup, a very good kind of model, or that was prepared of that mannequin. It really feels a literal object and a symbol that really represent the intersection of the past and the present, living and the dead, and forces that are really just beyond the human understanding. The film was really good, and it's definitely a one-time watchable. And I really rate the film must get a nearly 4 star out of 5 star. It really delivers a very haunting and thought-provoking story. The film was really good. It was kind of psychological thriller that really blends the supernatural elements very nicely into the story. Writing was brilliant, and I really felt for the character of the Darcy. The actor who played her was really good, and even the Ted and all the side characters supported in the movie was great. Not much of location in this movie. It's really a small budget movie after all, but it was really great movie. I really liked the psychological horror element with the emotional depth that story covers, and the unsettling atmosphere really sets the tone of the movie to keep you at the edge of your seat. It was really good, and it was very skillfully executed, I may say that. And performance wise, the cast delivers a really strong, a really stellar performance. And the standout being the portrait of the Darcy by the lead actor herself, it was really great. And it touches the theme of kind of guilt, obsession, and the Darcy journey that highlight the emotional toll of losing a loved one, maybe your sister, daughter, or whoever it may be. It is a really powerful symbol of the past haunting the present, and the burden that was carried by Darcy herself, we can really feel something for that character, that it may be even one of us. That is a kind of relativity it should get from film. And we should learn that this film really delivers a very strong performance, and we should always take care of our loved ones, always hope for the good. If you like the video, please do subscribe and like our channel. Thank you for watching.